Did you know that who you're surrounded by quietly determines who you're becoming? For most people, this is something that they know notionally, but have never dealt with emotionally. Who you're literally surrounded by is determining who you're becoming. Now, I understand that some people find it difficult to engage with that, so I'm going to explain it in a way that's way more matter of fact. They have this saying. The saying is blood is thicker than water. If you've heard about that, let me know in the comments below. The saying, the old adage is that blood is thicker than water. But here's the thing that's interesting. There are characteristics of water that are exactly the same as the characteristics of blood. Wouldn't you want to think about a few of them? Let's touch this, right? Blood, they say, is thicker than water. Okay. So here's my question to you. Let's start looking at one of these characteristics. That's very important. The question is, how many other ways can we write water? Okay. How many other ways can we write water? Now, when I often ask this question, people say to me, hey, Samuel, water can also be written as H2O. Okay. And to that, I say to them, how did you know? But that's the truth. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting. If we break down the component parts of H2O, we start to see something phenomenal. But I'm going to show it to you in multiple ways. So here's the first one. H2O. What is H2O? H2O is a hydrogen, an oxygen, and a hydrogen. Okay? That's H2O. Now, why is this so important? The reason it's so important is because if you're like me and you geek out about things like biblical Hebrew, you go study certain things. And when I went to study the word water, which is my favorite word in the Hebrew language, and you might ask the question, Samuel, why is the word water your favorite word in the Hebrew language? Well, the word water is my favorite word in the Hebrew language because it was the first word in Hebrew that I found out what it is. And that's exactly why. It was the first word in Hebrew that I found out what it is. And the word in Hebrew for water is a word known as mayim. Mayim. Now, I'm not going to write it phonetically, but what I'm actually going to do even more deeper, I'm going to write it out in Hebrew characteristics. Now, in Hebrew, they write from right to left. In English, we write from left to right. And if you were to write out mayim in Hebrew, it would be a mem, a yud, and a mem. So the question I usually ask my friends, my coaching clients is, what do you see that's similar between the H2O when you write it out in its component parts and the word mayim when you write it out in its component parts? And most people say to me, Samuel, hold on a minute. Are you telling me that the same way that H2O has one thing, a different thing, and then the same as the first thing, is that the same way that we actually have the one thing, the different thing, and the other thing with the word mayim? And I usually say to them, you're absolutely right. You got it correct. How did you see that? That's perfect. But this actually reveals to us one of the most powerful characteristics of water. And it's a characteristic most people see without going as deep as they've gone with me. And what is that characteristic? Well, I'll show you that characteristic, because if you write out the mem and the yod and the mem, you would see that this is reflective. It's reflective. We see it in the atom, in its component parts as an atom, HOH. We see it there. It's reflective. There's a H on this side. There's the O, which acts as the mirror. And there's the H on that side. There's the mem on this side. There's the yud that acts as the mirror. And then there's the yud on this side. What does this teach us about water? It teaches us that water is reflective. Samuel, why is this so important? Because they say blood is thicker than water. But what do we learn from water, which is exactly the same as what you should learn from blood? You should learn, when you look at mayim, when you look at water, that water exactly reflects its environment. And I heard by a little bird that you and I are apparently over 70% water in our makeup. I want you to think about that for a moment. So I'm made of mostly water, but water has a specific property, and that property is that water is reflective. And when I have water in a glass, as translucent as it is, if I walk up to a lake, as long as that lake is not fake, I'm going to look in the lake and I will see my own face, because water reflects its environment exactly. Now, the reason this is so important is because this reveals that who you surround yourself by is quietly determining who you're becoming. So you have to start asking yourself, are you cultivating environments of resistance, or have you begun and have been focused on cultivating environments of growth? Because the focus that I think you need to get focused on is the freedom of family. It's one thing to have a freedom of faith. It's another thing to take your life to another level and start developing a freedom of family. And start realizing that yes, 400, 500, 600 years ago, if your dad was a carpenter, you'll be guaranteed to be a carpenter. But we don't live in the 300, 400, 500, 600 years ago anymore. And today, your dad can be a carpenter and you can become a banker. Your dad can be a nurse and you can become worse. Because today we live in a day and age where there is a freedom around family, whether you take that freedom or not. You see, in the book of Proverbs, there's a powerful word. It says in this verse, it says, give instruction unto a wise man and he will become yet wiser. This is telling us something. It's telling us that family isn't what we think it is. Family is proximity. Family is opportunity. But so many people lose sight of what family really is, and then later on, they can't understand why they're producing financially poor kids. And when I say that, I'm not talking about children, I'm just talking about offspring, investments that aren't working, opportunities that are broken, and people that are hurting. Why? Because you've never taken a step back and said, who's the family that I've cultivated around me? What's the environment that I've allowed to surround me so that I can reflect something that I believe is perfect? What would happen if you made a simple, single change? What would happen if you started to realize that you are reflecting the people around you? In the words of the late, great Jim Rohn, he would say that you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. But here's the reality. Why don't you select those people purposefully so you can improve your average? Why have you never taken a step in your life to say, look, I'm going to be the architect behind the environment I find so I don't mind when I reflect it? You see, if you take me up on this opportunity to make a change to your family, and you start realizing that family is actually proximity, family is actually influence, family is actually the instruction you receive. Like I said, Proverbs 9, give a wise man instruction and he will yet become wiser. If you took that opportunity to become that person, you know what would happen? Your life would change, because you'd recognize that fools gather fools to be around them, and wise people gather instruction to surround them. You see, we have well surpassed the time period where we're stuck in certain families, where we're stuck being certain people, where we can't change our environment. We're past that phase. We're in a place today where with social media, with legacy media, with all of the things that are around us, we can curate the very family that we desire. You want to have a rich billionaire dad? You can give yourself one. How often do you speak to your dad? Once a week? You can create an opportunity where with a billionaire, you can speak. How often do you speak to your mom? You want a loving, kind mom? You're someone who came from a background where maybe you didn't get that love, you didn't get those things. You're saying to yourself, how can I now start to get those wins? I'm telling you how you can get those wins. You can get those wins because you can create your family. You might have been growing up in a specific family. Let me show you this. Imagine this. I want you to think about this for yourself. Let's go. Tarek says the reflective part is so powerful. Thank you, Tarek. All right. I want to show you this. I want to show you this. Watch this and think about your life. Here's person A. All right. Person A is a person who grows up in an environment, who grows up with an experience, who grows up where everyone around them is believing in the concept of multiplication. Now, contrast person A with person B. Now, person B is a person who grows up, same potential as person A, same opportunity as person A. The only difference is the environment, the family around them. Now, person B grows up with a community, a family who work on and believe in subtraction. They took away her toys. They took away her voice. Now you tell me, what else did they take away? You've got it. They took away her choice. You see, when you start to understand the impact of the family, the people you keep around you, you start realizing that this is one of the 5 freedoms that will truly make you free. If you take it upon yourself to say, you know what, Samuel, no longer will I be a person who harbors a family around me that's not going to be value to me. I remember when I heard it from one of my first coaches, I was 21 years ago. It was 21 years ago. I was 21 years old. The coach said something profound. He said, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. What would happen if you made that shift and you realize, just like water, you are reflective. And just because, like water, you know you're reflective, you decide to become connective. You start realizing, I need to connect with people that are going to empower me. I need to connect with people that are going to shower me. I need to be around the people that are going to take me to the next level of my life so I can become what's going to be right. I want you to ask yourself a question. Who continually brings out the strongest version of you? And don't ask the question with a you at the end. Ask the question with a me at the end. Who continually brings out the strongest version of me? And once you do that journal task, once you engage with that journal task, who continually brings out the strongest version of me, I want you to throw in the comments the word family. So I know that the message I'm sharing with you right now resonates at such a level that you will make the change. And that's why I always say that small keys open up big doors.
Small keys open big doors.